Welcome to Mastering Your Monday podcast. And this is the show that talks about boundaries, work-life balance, and living a life where you have control. This is for highly driven professionals who want to develop a more balanced professional and personal life and live out their true values. Those who are ready to grab the reins and change the status quo. The professional who's ready to have a life again and who's ready to take a stand, living in a way that you feel respected, valued, and fulfilled each and every day. We talk about topics like setting boundaries, taking risks, life management, and all the tips, techniques, and strategies to help you master your Monday, one day at a time. Hey there, Michelle O'Neill here. I love a great conversation. So come on, pull up a chair ringside and let's talk the real deal today on episode 6, Discovering You, Downtime and Quiet Reflections During a Pandemic. You know, I found that the deeper and longer that we're dealing with this pandemic and going through the trials of it, that it is absolutely necessary for my sanity and centering that I have downtime, that I have that time for quiet reflection, that time to pull away. So, what it is it's actually quiet time. It's a mental health break from the constant demands of our day to day. It becomes a time for healing and restoration and a time for me to get energy back again. Now, the thing about this quiet time and this downtime is that it's no specific time limit and it's no specific time. You know exactly what you need and how frequently you need it. So it's totally up to you. But what it is it's a self-enforced time of solitude. It's a time that we allow ourselves to separate from others and just have some alone time by ourselves for self-reflection. You know, it's a time for us to step away because we really think that we're okay and we believe that in reality we're okay, but in actuality we aren't. We're not allowing time for processing and getting away from the noise. And it reminds me of when I was young and me and my sister and my brother were making all this noise. And I could hear my mom yell, "Stop the noise. I need time to think." Do you remember that? Well, I certainly do. So as an adult, I had to find a way to pull away and have time to think. And so my husband and I came up with this simply awesome plan is we started cruising. So what is cruising? Why would you call that your away time? I got a secret for you. The reason why it's so paramount in our away time is not only is it a all paid vacation where everything you need is already there, your entertainment, your food and everything, but it's our time to unplug. We usually take a cruise about 7 or more days, and for those 7 days we let everybody we know that they cannot get in contact with us during those times because there's no internet and no phone. And we let them know the only time you can get in contact with us is by text, and it's only when we go to shore. Any other time, unless it's an emergency, don't contact us. And if you need to contact us, call the ship. That is our away time. And we set those specific boundaries on how we're going to play it. Yes, there is internet on the ship. Yes, there is a way to make phone calls on the ship. But we decided that that is just not the expense that we're going to pay for. We want to pay for the excursions and the things that we want to do. And that phone time isn't the best way to get away and have vacation. So I encourage you to find something that you love to do to get away and have that time of reflection, and downtime, and discover a little bit more about you, because that's exactly what you do when you have that time to think. There are so many benefits of taking that away time. Simple things like it builds your creativity. You have better creativity. You have better performance, not only at home, but at work too. And then you hit healthy heart. It's so great that when you're not stressed out and when you're not dealing with overwhelm and all these things, that your heart has this time to repair. It gives you a positive mindset, and oh, yes, it restores your energy. How are you going to keep going day to day on an empty cup? It allows you to fill that cup back up. And my favorite, it repairs your body, and more specifically, your brain. I love facts, finding facts on the brain. It's one of the most interesting things to me about how we work. And so our brain is just like a computer. And just like our computer, it needs that time to shut down. You ever had people at work or whatever to tell you to do a hard boot? Well, what that means is you totally shut your computer down, so it allows it to empty out the bad stuff and just repair itself and come back up in its original format. Well, all the messed up circuitry and stuff just seems to dissipate or go away. And I'm not a computer techie that much that I know exactly what happens when your computer hard boots, but I know that's what happens. So it shuts down so it can purge all the old information and repair its circuitry. Well, the same thing happens with our brain. It needs to shut down, it needs to pull away from the busyness of life and have that time for repairing all the nervous systems and stuff so they can repair themselves and do the brainy things that they need to do and clear out those toxins when you're at rest. And when I say rest, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be sleep, but it means that you need to be away from exterior stimulants and only be stimulated internally. So you get rid of all those external busyness and those things that are going on. So, in fact, what's so cool about the brain is studies show that the DMN, which is your default mode network has been linked to things like your ethics, your memories, your creativity, and actually get this, how we define our sense of self. So you need to have these things repaired so you get a better sense of yourself. So you're creative, so you improve your focus and you have better memories. That's why it's so important to let your brain, if nothing else, let that brain rest and recoup. But there's also things that we need to use this downtime for. So there's 7 areas that I really want to touch on. That's the best time to have our away times, not just for brain repairing and restoring energy and positive mindset and all the things I said before, but there's 7 specific things that happen in our lives that it's always best to take a step back and just allow our times to reflect, have downtime, and really understand where our decisions are coming from. So the first thing is when you make an important decisions, or I should say, actually, before you decide to make an important decision, it's always best that we back up, regroup, and just take time to think through things, really understand where it is or what it is that we're feeling during this thing, how we feel about it, how we really feel. Someone said, how do you really feel about that? Well, how do you really feel about that decision? Is it something that you want to do, or are you doing it for others? But asking yourself those hard questions and then deciding what seems best for you before you get other people's opinions. And then ask others if that's what you want to do. But at that time, you already have a strength and formulated, a strong opinion on what it is that you want. And then you can ask other people's um, perspectives or how they're looking at it, or allow others to speak into it. And then you make an informed decision. Number two is to recharge from the constant demands and hard work that we deal with on a day to day basis. That saps your energy. It's constantly pulling at you, and everybody wants a piece of you. But we have to recharge. And so this is one of the ways that we recharge is having that downtime and allowing ourselves to pull away from those demands, especially when you do a lot of hard work. You've ever been out there and you're shoveling snow and you're out there and you're taking care of the things that you need to take care of outside, and then you come in, you are pooped. What's the first thing you do? Hey, I'm not doing nothing, I'm sitting here, and you're recharging. So that's why it's so important to take downtime there. Another time, number three, is times of stress and de-stress. We do not make the best decisions when we're right dab smack in stress and de stress. So it's always best to back up, sit back, and have a time of reflection because we always want to go back to how am I really feeling? How is this affecting me? What is it that I really want? And no, I'm not saying it's all about you, but what I'm saying is you have to understand how things are affecting you so you can make the best decisions. Number four, preparation for major undertakings. Is there something new happening in your life? You're getting ready to change jobs and move clear across the globe or clear across the country? Are you getting ready to become a caregiver with your mother or your father? Are you getting ready to um, there's so many things that happen in our lives. Are you getting ready to have someone new come in your home and stay with you? Are you getting ready to have a baby? Whatever it is, before we have these major undertakings, we need to actually sit back and think about it. Is this something I can take on right now? Is this something that we have the finances for right now? Is this something I'm prepared to deal with? Can I handle this mentally, physically? How is this emotionally? And then number five is working through the grief process. Oh, what a time that we need to be able to step back. It's during the grieving process. And this doesn't mean necessarily that it's when you have had a physical loss of someone. There are many ways that we're grieving, especially right now through this pandemic. Not only is it loss of life, and we have had so many that we've lost over the last year that it literally hurts my heart. And some of them have been close to me. But not only that, is hearing about the loss for others, is caring about others and their loss, is hearing about great icons in the news and in entertainment and knowing that they're gone and they're no longer be there. That's a grief that we go through, but it's not always a loss of life. It's also a loss of job. When you move from a job, when you've lost a job, when you're looking for a job, these are all losses and you have to grieve through those changes. Another thing is loss of all things familiar. Oh, how we are dealing with that right now through this pandemic. Everything that was is not in the same way now. The way we went to work, the way we dealt with our children, the way we live our lives, the way our money is, all those things that were familiar have changed, and we're grieving through that. And we need to be able to process through that correctly. And sometimes that means stepping back, have downtime, deciphering who you are, discovering who you are through this process. How is this changing you? Where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? How are you viewing yourself differently? And then loss of ideology. All those things you used to believe, All these things you think that were are no longer. How do you deal with that loss of what you used to think, of how you used to think, of the visions that you used to have, of the promises that you used to give? How do you change all of that? How do you deal with that? How do you let it go? Because that's what we have to do on some of these things. Grief is about letting go. So, this is another time. And the fifth thing that we need to use this process of downtime for. The sixth is a time for prayer, meditation, and journaling. These are times that we want to pour out our heart, when we want to express our anger, and when we want to ask for help. For me, my faith is so important to me. This is when I pour out my heart to God. This is when I write in my journal the things that I'm dealing with. This is when I meditate on how I want to be, what I desire, how I desire to be. This is when I express my anger and all when I cry out for help. This is a time that we need to pull back, pull away, and be in that solitude. And then the seventh one is intimacy, not only with yourself, but with your God. For me, it's God. For you, there may be other things, but my intimacy with myself and with God is a care for my soul. Is when I rest in the truth of the things that I believe. Is when I speak to myself and live with myself in all pure honesty. And it's when I choose not to hide from the truths of who I am and where I want to go. That's the intimacy that we get. It's the discovering you that I'm talking about, is when we deal with ourselves in truth and honesty and choose not to hide from that. Well, all of this is well and good, but my question is, how do we make this happen? How do we set this time aside? How do we make sure that we have this time to know more about ourselves, but not only that, to have that downtime and that time of recuperation and restoration? Well, as always, we have to schedule the time. Schedule the time. You want to take the time and put it actually on your calendar. It's something about seeing it in print, seeing it on the calendar that makes it something that you have to do, something that's a definite appointment. So make an appointment with yourself, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or a half an hour. Take that time, set that time. And if you need to, set a timer, but make the time with yourself to schedule a time to get to know yourself. And then turn off and unplug. Yes, whether you know it or not, you want to turn the TV off, cut off all the electronics and the notifications, my favorite. In fact, put your phone on do not disturb. But these are great ways to unplug and just put your phone away for that time. Put it in another room, turn the TV off, but you can put music on in the background. But unplug, get all of that busyness, all of that um, electronic impulses that are going on in your mind, set those aside and allow yourself time to think. And one of the ways that I find it is I love to have a candle in the room that I am because of the aromatherapy. But not only that, there's something so calming about the flickering of a candle in the background, music going on, and you just sitting there. Sometimes I just want to sit there and relax. Another favorite of mine is dark shadow showers. You can take a dark shower. And what is a dark shower? That's when you go take a nice hot shower. Lights out. You can put a candle in there, but lights out. And it's all about sensory perception, feeling the warm water cascading on your back, pulsating on your back, massaging your back, feeling that warmth, almost as if we were in the cocoon of our mother's belly. But not only that, is being aware of the parts of your body. Feel your fingers, feel the water pulsating on your fingers, feel your skin. And I'm not talking about touching yourself in a sexual way, but I'm talking about touching yourself in a sensory way. Is getting to know yourself, feeling your skin, feeling how that feels, where there's roughness, where there's softness, you know, being aware of your face. Grab a hold of your face and feel your face. The shape of your face is almost as if you were blind, and you just want to feel the shapes and the textures. And there's nothing as amazing as your lips. Feel your lips, the dryness, the each one of the crevices, all of those. Do you know one of the best ways of identity is also your lips, not just your fingerprint, but your lip print. There is nothing like everybody's lip print is specific to that person. So that's another thing, is just understanding your body, feeling your body, your neck, your cheekbones, whatever it is. Get to know yourself in an intimate way. And then music. I always talk about music. One of the things you can do is go to Pandora or Amazon Music and ask for calming or meditation music and just have that on in the background. No words, nothing you can sing to, but just listening. Sometimes as simple as listening to water, the waves rushing. You can ask for just waves rushing or leaves rustling, whatever it is, but take the time to just listen and explore in your mind. And then finally, journaling. I love journaling because it's a time for you to write out everything that's in your mind. And it's a record and something that you can go back to understand where you were at that time in that place. So, what do you do with this time? Now that you know where to find it, what do you do? Well, as in the dark showers, I explained some of the things you could do with your sensory, but also other things we can do is breathe. Listen to your breathing. Take deep breaths from your gut, or as I would say as a singer, from your diaphragm, not your shoulders, but fill up your diaphragm and let the breath go slowly hissing out of your mouth. Do things like rest. Just sit there and rest and feel the hairs moving on your head, or and I hope there's nothing moving there, but you know what I mean. You know how you can feel the little nerve endings on your head and each little hair, and just take time to think and rest in your thought. What are the thoughts that are going through your mind? What is resting in your mind? Things that you never thought about, people that you never thought about, people that you want to reach out to, whatever it is, just think and explore. So we've talked about things that you can do, things that you could do to unplug, and things that you could do to discover more about yourself. But above all, this gives us strength for the blows and the punches of life. We need this time to regroup and recharge so that when life throws us a punch or when life throws us a blow, we have a block for it. This time, this downtime is your most effective block for being able to deal with life blows and punches. Okay, I said that no matter what, I would have an action for you during every episode. So, my action for you this time is to ask yourself, what is it that I really love? During your time of reflection, during your time of discovering what's important to you, ask yourself, what are the things that I really love that are coming foremost in my mind? And then I encourage you to pinpoint, well, what are the things that I want to change? And what are some steps that I could take to make that change come about? And then finally, choose one thing at a time that you want to take action on and make it a practice. Why do I say a practice? Because as we make it a practice, we begin to master it. And that's what we're here for, to master our Monday. So choose only one thing at a time, either something that you want to love or something that you want to change, and start making those actions, taking those actions to make it so. Listen, I am so glad that you were able to hang out with me today for our ringside chat. You are amazing. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit subscribe. And one other thing I want you to do is, after listening to this episode, visit masteryourmonday.com/pathway. And that's where you'll find my goodies and gifts just for you. And make sure to let me know how I can serve you further. And that's the place to do it, right there on masteringyourmonday.com pathways. Until next time, remember, take downtime and let me know what you did in your next downtime. Take care. Bye-bye. I want to thank you for listening to the Mastering Your Monday podcast. I hope you learned at least one tip or technique you can walk away with and implement today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show, and let us know how much you enjoyed it and what you learned from this episode. We honor your time and your commitment to Mastering Your Monday podcast. And as always, we want to remind you, you are cherished, respected, valued, and in control. See you on the next episode.